What's up, guys? High Value Hacks back for another video. Today will be the first week of our new series, Taming the Narcissist. There's a lot that goes into narcissism. Today we're going to be going over some characteristics and traits that are very common amongst narcissists. Throughout the series, we'll be uploading weekly. We'll be going over things like characteristics, red flags, understanding the way they think, how to leverage them, how to cut them off and leave, and most importantly, how to heal from them. If you haven't already, guys, like and subscribe so you don't miss a week of information. There's a lot of information to cover. For those of you that don't know me, welcome. My name is Joe. I'm an entrepreneur, business, life, and relationship coach. Before we get into the traits and red flags of a narcissist, 3 or 4 that we're going to cover today, just give you a little bit about my background for those of you that don't know me. I did take some psychology in college in regards to sociopath and narcissist, but it only kind of touches on them. I did study them a lot. A lot of my clients have issues where they come across these people with one of these personality disorders, borderline personality disorders, whatever it may be. But for me to really understand narcissism, being so intimately close to more than one for the majority of my life, who and how they were related to me, in what way, girlfriend, wife, father, mother. I'm not going to get into details, brother, sister, cousin. But I did start to notice patterns between them. And when we can establish patterns, behavior becomes predictable. And once you can predict their behavior, you can then start to do something about it, right? So I think overall, the most important thing is experiencing something. And dealing with multiple narcissists for years at a time. And listen, guys, narcissists are not all one and the same. Just because there's 10 characteristics of a narcissist does not mean if they have 8 out of 10, they are or aren't narcissists. People can become narcissistic in different ways at different times, but it doesn't mean that we're fair to diagnose them as a narcissist. Either way, if you're dealing with someone with these traits and they're treating you that way, it doesn't matter if they've been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder before. If it's become abusive, you have to find a way to get out. Either way, it's not appropriate. You shouldn't be dealing with it. And that's what we're really going to get into in this series. We're going to get some clarity. We're going to get some tools to do the right thing, figure out how you're going to get out of it. One of the biggest questions my clients ask me is it possible for a female to be a narcissist? I said, abso-fucking-lutely. Maybe there's not as many of them running around. Maybe more men are narcissists than women just because of financial statuses that they may have from what I've seen. But I could tell you, even if they're not a full-blown narcissist, people could be very narcissistic. And it's only bad when it becomes abusive, right? Now just remember, people can be narcissistic. There's a difference between a narcissist and someone acting narcissistic. People aren't perfect. People have bad days. Sometimes people will dip into a narcissistic tendency, but it's not consistent. What separates a true narcissist from people that have just maybe been acting narcissistic at any given moment and not having a good day is that they can't control their impulsive behavior. They cannot control these red flags. They cannot control that narcissistic behavior. It's not a one-time thing or even a two-time thing. It's a pattern amongst every relationship they have in their life. And it continues forever. And these people genuinely think there's nothing wrong with them. So the first one, and this is big, and I think that it's not necessarily processed in society the right way. It's their lack of empathy. And anytime you've gotten into an argument with someone and they're like, oh, I'm so empathetic with you. I think we've kind of misconstrued it where narcissists are actually empathetic. They're not empathetic at all. And I'm not talking about empathetic where you cry or you feel bad if someone passes away. They say that narcissistic people don't cry. That's not true. When they say, at least in my experience, when they say lack of empathy, let me just give you an example. Is the person that you're thinking about, okay, so narcissists are very selfish, and this is the biggest thing. So when they say lack of empathy, they are willing to destroy, damage, and hurt people in the process of getting what they want, no matter what it takes. People that are empathetic, typically in human nature, will say, all right, well, I don't want to do that because it's morally incorrect, but also it's going to hurt someone else. And I don't want to hurt someone because I have empathy for that person's feelings. True narcissists don't care. They want what they want. That's all that matters. It's out of pure selfishness. And they don't care how many people they destroy in the process to get what they want, because they want what they want. Their feelings matter. That's all that matters. That is someone that doesn't have empathy. We're not talking about watching someone pass away and being sad about it. And, oh, if I was a narcissist, I wouldn't cry if someone died. Have you all heard that before? That gaslighting bullshit. Great. If you're noticing that someone has patterns in their life where they're taking their own personal needs and their selfish needs at the stake of other people's vulnerability and hurting them and taking from them and having no consideration of how their actions affect other people, that's a huge red flag. Second thing, guys, this is a big one too. And I think this is another one that gets really misconstrued because it's never one and the same. All right. They do say that narcissists have an overinflated ego. They feel entitled. Now, it doesn't always have to do with money. A lot of times you'll see people with an overinflated ego that are making a lot of money. They just think they're better than everyone. They think they're on a different level. That is true, but it's not always people that have a lot of money. They tend to walk around and think that they're a different breed of person and everybody around them is below them. And they're entitled to things in life that other people shouldn't get, and they shouldn't have to work for it because they're such a great person that they should just fucking get it. And it sounds so asinine, but one of the biggest narcissistic triggers is go out with someone to a restaurant and see how they treat the wait staff and the waiter. Do they tip them well? Do they expect more than the waiter's going to actually give them? And no matter what the waiter does, is it never given good enough? And do they treat them like peasants and speak to them like peasants? Now, that doesn't mean they're a narcissist, but that type of behavior is always narcissistic, because anybody that's been successful knows what it's like to work in that person's shoes. Maybe not as a waiter or a bartender or any sort of job, but you know what it feels like to have to work your way up the ladder. And when you know what it feels like to work your way up the ladder and be in that position, you're not going to treat someone like that because they're hustling and you can't knock that hustle. Narcissistic people don't think that way. They think about themselves and their self-glorifying fucking attitude, and whatever makes them feel more important for that day, that's what it's going to do. Now, some people, like I said, dip their toes, have a bad day, maybe come into some money, and they start to get a little narcissistic, but overall, they revert back to their original behavior. That's one of the biggest difference. Remember, guys, we're looking for patterns here, and there's a lot, and that's why the series is going to be a long one, and there's going to be multiple days and multiple episodes because it's a very complex thing, and there's not one straight answer. And I've learned so much over the course of the years that I've dealt with different people and different clients and different research, that I really started to learn that there was patterns among these people. Somebody may be empathetic, but they may have an overinflated ego, but they still are narcissistic, even though I'm not qualified to diagnose anyone. I think at this point, if you're considering someone to be narcissistic, they're probably emotionally, verbally, or some way abusing you. So that's why you're already starting to kind of look into it. And regardless if they're diagnosed or not, who gives a shit? If they're treating you that way, still unacceptable. Number 3, and this one is hard to diagnose. This one's hard to see, but you pick up over it after a while, because one of the biggest things I noticed about people that are somewhat narcissistic, they're very selfish, okay? And we know that that's the case because we read it, okay? Selfishness. And selfishness isn't always just like, oh, I'm going to take this and give you nothing because I'm selfish. Narcissistic people don't like to expose their face behind the mask. So they're always going to make it about you. They're going to bring up an idea that they want, and it's got nothing to do with you. But instead of just, coming out and showing that they look very selfish and wanting something, knowing you don't want that, they're going to give you 5 or 10 reasons why it's in your best benefit to do it and how great it would be if you just sided with them. And they're doing this for us, or they're doing this for you. And they're actually doing the sacrificing because they're thinking about your best interest in making the decision. But when you really sit there and look at the facts and you're like, no, that's fucking bullshit. You're not thinking about us. You're thinking about you, because I've already explained to you that this isn't what I want. I want something else. There's always an end game for them in some way. And it's always so manipulative because they will try to convince you that it's your idea and it's in your best interest. And by bringing it up, they're only thinking about you and not thinking about themselves at all. That's bullshit, because it almost seems like these people stay up all night thinking about this stuff, and it's calculated and it's malicious. How could I get what I want? without looking so selfish, because I know as someone that's narcissistic, if I look selfish, I'm going to get called out on my narcissism, and that just can't happen, right? So we have to learn how to understand it, and that's what we're going to get into in one of future videos, understanding the thought process of a narcissistic person, how they come to their impulsive behavior, how they think, how they try to leverage. Once you understand, you can then flip the tables and re-leverage. But we'll get into those in other videos. Number 4, and this is a little bit of a bonus for you guys because I don't want to keep you too long. It's just like an overbearing, malicious control. And when I mean malicious and calculated, it's like stupid thought out. So if you've got someone that's over controlling with you, maybe it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a parent, that's typically who it is, your most intimate relationships, is always worried about where you are and what you're doing because they want to be on top and up your ass. And instead of just calling you and say, listen, I'm having a bad day, I'm not really feeling right, feeling a little like insecure, I don't know why, like I just figured I'd call you because, you know, I'm just not myself today. We should all be so fucking lucky, right? Where it comes narcissistic. Give you an example. I'm going to purposely leave my headphones at your house. You know, the ones for iPhone or whatever that you can track, or a device that can be tracked. I'm going to leave them at your place on purpose. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to call you when we're not together and say, hey, did I leave my headphones at your place? Now the person knows fucking damn well they did, okay? And it's like, oh yeah, they're here. All right. You just do me a favor and just, you know, put them in your purse, or put them in your briefcase, or put them in your jacket, so when I see you later or the next time I see you, you can give them to me? Yeah, sure, no problem. And then you come to find out that the thing's been fucking tracking you for the last 6, 8, 10 hours or 2 days that you've had it, because that's what it does when you flag that it's missing and you want to know where it is. So now this person can track everywhere you're going, because if you know, narcissists don't trust anybody because they can't be trusted, so they're not going to trust you. This person tracking me? Nah, it does it automatically. Why would I do that? Are you kidding me? Listen, that's what you're going to get. Wasn't about that. I really did just leave him there, but it's all fucking calculated. And you know what? We're never actually going to know if that's the case or not. And this is where it can become confusing, because you're going to feel crazy. But once you start looking at these signs of narcissism and they start to add up, you're going to see it's not a coincidence. And they'll never admit to it, but you just need to know what it is, why it's happening, all right? And just know that it's there. It's not a coincidence. You're not crazy. You heard what you heard. You heard what was said. Don't let them tell you what they said they didn't mean it in that way, because they fucking meant it that way. And these are the things we're really going to start getting into the next episode. For now, we're going to go over these 4 signs. If you guys have any questions, concerns, or feedback, drop it in the comment section below. We could always do a topic on another episode if you want to. Something in particular. Tell your story if you want to, because I'd love to hear other people that maybe have gone through the same thing in life. I think us as a community, we don't meet enough people that have gone through this, and we don't talk about it enough. But I think that if we can talk about it and know that we're not alone, it makes kind of a big difference, right? So like I said, guys, if you haven't already, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. This way you don't miss any episodes in the series. This is only episode number 1 out of countless amount of episodes that we're going to have in regards to this. There's also a lot of self-development and motivational stuff on the channel for you to check out. I appreciate you guys for coming for yet again another video. See you on episode 2 next week.